Now for business, we say hello to Kate Moody.
Hi, Francois.
And we begin with an anniversary.
Yes, the anniversary of Liberation Day. You might bring some bells there. That was the day that Donald Trump unveiled a slew of tariffs that would really go on to change the global trade landscape. It was one of the defining economic policies of his second administration so far. A blanket 10% tariff on all imports, higher tariffs for about 80 other trading partners. At the time, the U.S. president said the move would make American industry more prosperous.
April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
Remember those big promises, the written sign that he had there? It was just the beginning of the roller coaster. About a week later, Trump paused the implementation of those tariffs. A flurry of trade deals followed, with the likes of the EU, UK, and Vietnam all securing preferential rates. There was a sharp boost in imports for a few months as many American companies raced to stock up before the country-specific rates came into effect in August. Then, this February, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down the legal basis for many of those tariffs. A furious Trump vowed to use a different mechanism to impose a blanket 10% tariff, which could still be hiked to 15%. Now, U.S. media reports are suggesting that the administration could even now be preparing more tariff announcements on steel, aluminum, and pharmaceuticals, possibly later this Thursday. That's where we stand now, in a period of renewed uncertainty. Many trade deals are on hold as trading partners aren't sure they can trust their American counterparts. U.S. Customs and Border Control brought in over $200 billion in revenue last year, which it says is linked to the tariffs. The U.S. government may now have to refund about half of that sum to American businesses after the Supreme Court ruling. And while estimates do vary, about half of the bill has been passed on to U.S. consumers. One think tank estimating that each household paid an additional $1,000 linked to tariffs last year. Moreover, the trade deficit that Trump hoped to address is now roughly the same as it was a year ago. New data released this Thursday showed the trade gap had actually expanded in February, although slightly less than forecast. The U.S. economy still importing more than it exported, another sign that the tariffs and the uncertainty that they have unleashed may not be bringing the benefits that he promised 1 year ago today. Let's move on and check in on the day's trading action, another area where every word from the U.S. president can have $1 billion impact. We saw a mixed close for the major European indices as investors digested the implications of Trump's latest remarks on the war in Iran. Just the London FTSE 100 in the green there. Wall Street's also trading lower, although stocks have pared back some of their earlier steeper losses of between about 1.5% and 2%. Oil prices have surged once again this Thursday. US WTI climbing past $111 per barrel. That's higher even than the international benchmark Brent crude, which is over 107. Well, those oil prices have trickled down to the pump across the globe at well over €2 per litre. Gasoline and diesel prices here in France are now 20 to 30% higher at most petrol stations than they were before the war. That's left many French commuters seeking cheaper transport, with a notable resurgence in car-sharing services. Luke Schrago has more.
Just outside the northern French city of Rennes, this woman is catching a rideshare to work as petrol prices strain drivers' finances.
Everything's expensive, even more so now. Car sharing has really become a big thing.
It's not just ordinary people, but businesses too trying to ease the financial burden from skyrocketing oil prices, with staff sharing company cars.
We usually have one vehicle each to make our rounds. There are 3 of us, and we can seat 3 people.
In fact, rideshare applications have noticed a distinct connection between fuel prices and new registrations for both drivers and passengers.
There's been a major increase in long-distance car sharing, and there's been an even higher increase for short distances too, which would be commuting between home and work. Those are journeys of around 15 kilometres. For the week of the 9th of March, sign-ups had risen 40%. For the week of the 23rd of March, they'd gone up by 70% compared with before the crisis.
Another woman needs to head for Paris. But to get there and back will now cost her €140 in total, too pricey to make the trip alone. The solution? car sharing.
I'd make people pay at most 18 euros. That's enough. You get a few of them and it's 50 to 100 euros or more, and that's not bad. It just helps me cut down all the expenses.
Local authorities have extended a helping hand to struggling drivers too, like here, with an electronic signpost allowing people to indicate which way they're headed and wait until someone offers them a ride.
I like that idea, Francois, sort of 21st century hitchhiking there.
That's right, indeed. Many thanks for that, Kate Moody. You'll be back with the closing word on the markets later, including keeping an eye on those oil prices, which are going north this Thursday.